Okay, so this is going to be a very long video, not like the others. I'm just going to show you a bunch of pictures that are showing like the history of humanity, the forbidden history. And as you know, our human race is about maximum 2 centuries, 200 years old. I'm just going to show pictures that showcase a bunch of like construction sites and construction buildings and super buildings built by the previous humanity. So some of them are like have like names, so if I have the name I'll just say it. This is San Francisco when they took out these Roman type things. And then we have here stuff from the mud flood. As you know, there's constructions built on top of constructions which are like underneath several feet or meters of land and or earth. And this is like Germany. You can see the station before and after it was built with like bad materials and stuff. So I'm going to show you lots of like buildings that have like these towers. As you know, they're atmospheric electric energy because its energy is infinite. That you can take electromagnetic energy from the sky, from the atmosphere. So that's the whole point of these buildings. The Ming tombs, again, stuff which is made by they call it ancient, but nobody had a technology. What they did have technology is just like the history as we know it is fake. And Zepik, and then the 1893 World's Columbian Expedition in Chicago, which is like the Republic Roman Empire, like in America, again built by a different humanity, and a color photo of pre-war Dresden, Germany, towers and atmospheric electric energy, which is wrongly called Tartaria. Agriculture building in the Trans-Mississippi International Expo in Omaha, Nebraska in 1898. And this is Albert Dock, Liverpool, UK. Again, same, you'll notice in all corners of the world, it's the same principle of architecture, different humanity. Alexander Nevsky Cathedral, which is not a cathedral, of course, Azerbaijan, built in 1898 and destroyed, well, they say built, but it was there, and destroyed by Stalin in 1938. Let's go to the next folder. And this folder will start here. So this is Alexander Nevsky Orthodox Cathedral, again, not a cathedral, in Tbilisi in Georgia, which is a country, by the way. So it's not Georgia state, it's the country of Georgia, former Soviet Union, allegedly built in 1871-97 and demolished in 1930. As you know, you have to demolish. This is the Alms House in Hagia Sophia, Istanbul, Turkey, allegedly built in 1743. And Amber Fort, Rajasthan, India, built sometime, they say, in the year 967. More like, you know, the whole of history was faked. Ananta Samakom, the throne hall in Bangkok in Thailand, and built in 1915, they say. You can see the dome and the thing with the atmospheric electricity. And this is another post office. These are not post offices, but you know how history has changed. All these buildings function into a post office. This is in Belgrade, in former Yugoslavia, built supposedly in 1929 and destroyed in 1944 by Allied bombings. And then it was rebuilt in the Stalinist style. And this is the Aqualate Hall in Staffordshire in England, allegedly built in, so they say, 1808. Again, check out this atmospheric electricity energy. Aqueducts, of course, they're not, as you learn in history. This is the aqueduct of Chalpa in Mexico, built by the Jesuits, they say, in 1767. More like it was there when they came. And check out this here. So we have this cathedral, which is not in Romania, allegedly built in 1545, and then you have this in the Chicago World Fair, 1893. Same principle. Is for like extraction of electric energy from the ether, from the atmosphere. And this is the Argentine Pavilion in Buenos Aires, in the capital of Argentine, in 1889. That's the date that they give it. Asakusa Luna Park in Tokyo, Japan, approximately 1910. If I didn't say Japan, you would have said Europe or America. Burned down under suspicious circumstances. Of course, whenever you have to get rid of something, do a fire, and an artificial fire, because if you just burn wood, there's nothing that's going to happen. Atlantic City, New Jersey, Marlborough Blenheim Hotel in 1902-1906, built and demolished in October 1978. Again, this like principle of construction, more like in the Turk Empire. We have this in the States, so imagine that. Let's pass on to the next folder. It's going to get more interesting. Again, Atlantic City Traymore Hotel. This one here is Avenue Nicholas II in one of the expos. Check out this wrongly called Tartarian architecture. It's not Tartarian, but anyway. Get the point. Hold my beer, fam. Yeah, so all the years here from 1870 moving along all the way to 1897, same. Once you see one picture, you understand that the same principle was used in everywhere in the world. This is the Badshahi Mosque in Punjab in India, built in the 17th century. So they say only to be converted into a military garrison a century later. Check out the hugeness, and also it looks more like a power station to me. Again, a different angle. Check out the comparison between a human being and all that stuff. And you have to believe that this was constructed with raw power back then. This is the Baron Empine Palace, also called the Qasr al-Baron, once named Le Palais Hindu, which is adorned sculptures of elephants, snakes, and dragons, and images of Shiva and Krishna. In Egypt, 1907-1911, very interesting style with all these, I guess you know what I mean. Basilica of Our Lady of Sorrows, Queen of Poland. This is in the village of Lichtenstary, near Konin, which is in the Greater Poland Voivodeship in Poland. So yeah, definitely interesting. Check out this, like the same principle. This is Belfast City Hall, Northern Ireland in the UK, 1898. By the way, lucky you guys in Northern Ireland, you're both Irish and British at the same time, so you're both Europeans and Brits, not like the English. The English are only British. And with Brexit, it makes like, because Northern Ireland, Irish people, they have like this blessing of having both passports, British, UK, and European. So whenever you leave the UK, you're European. When you're inside the UK, you're British. So that's something that the English from England, or the Scottish, I think also, they don't have that. So yeah. Remind me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure the Scottish have it or not, but I know the English don't have it. So yeah. And Belfast City Hall, Belfast in Northern Ireland, the UK. Again, from a different angle. Check out the hugeness and stuff. Once you see this type of like architecture, it's everywhere. So this is in Berlin, the cathedral. It's not cathedral, it's like a power station. Berlin, Germany, 1750. And Berlin Cathedral, again from a different angle, supreme, as you can call it, and the way that you could extract energy from the atmosphere. And the sky, number 4. We saw this before. Someone, I have like a couple repeated. Bombay High Court, 1870. What can I say? The Indians built this. It was the British Empire. Borobudur Mahayana Buddhist temple in central Java in Indonesia. More like an ancient power, or ancient, not so ancient, but still more ancient than our power stations. But again, using electricity. Boys Central High School in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA, built in 1894, they say, and demolished in the site that once inhabited. Now you have a parking lot. So you have to be really intellectual to build parking lots. And that Broad Street Station in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA, demolished 1953. Oops, sorry. And then again, different angle, different color. Budapest House of Parliament, just like the one in the UK, pretty much. And check out the same as with the cathedrals. This is in the former Austro-Hungarian Empire. So there you go. Built temporarily for the 1893 Chicago Warfare. Who built this temporary just to destroy it afterwards? It was there beforehand, and this is like very, very recent still. Bukhara, Uzbekistan. They call it a 5 millennia old city, more like 500 years, or maybe not even so. Check out this, like definitely looks like power stations to me, for energy. Cargill Monument in Dunedin in New Zealand. That's also a very, very, like New Zealand and Australia, they were full of these things, and there was no time to build them because, as you know, the history of Australia and New Zealand begins in 1850, and these guys didn't have any ways of building. And this, like New Zealand, as you know, checks out the same principle as we see in Europe and America. Also, Dunedin is very close. I mean, New Zealand is very close to Summergate, which allows you to go outside of this crater. Casa Loma Castle in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, 1911. And let's go to the next folder. Cascade Fountain, Mexico City, allegedly built in 1716. Check out these people here. You can see that the grandpas of these people, they were not the builders of this, and it's like in the middle of a mud like road, and this principle of like construction, same as everywhere else. This one is the Castle of the Air, Central Park in New York City, 1895. This here, Cathedral of La Plata in La Plata, Argentina, in Argentina. Same principle of cathedral, as they call them. Cathedral of, again, Christ the Savior in Borky. This is near Kharkov in Russia, 1900, and then destroyed during the Bolshevik rule. More like a superpower. I mean, if you actually believe this is the place where you go to church and to say your prayers, like, I know what I say. Cathedral of Our Lady of Amiens in Somme in France. Again, cathedrals, more like for, like they say, oh, it's for Christianity and stuff, or like for different religions. Cathedral again of Our Lady in Antwerp in Belgium, and with the same like peaks and stuff. Here, Cathedral of Palma in Mallorca in Spain. They say it was built in 1601. Same principle here. More like everybody went to say we're gonna build the same stuff, or even though they didn't have internet and they weren't able to communicate by email or by phone or stuff. Yeah, but they would just say, yeah, let's build the same stuff across the world. Cathedral again, Santiago de Compostela in Spain. Same principle. This one here is the Catholic cathedral in Christchurch in New Zealand. New Zealand on the other side of the world, demolished after the 2011 earthquake. They say it was built in 1905. Very interesting, that thing with New Zealand and Australia. Central Dome in Paris Expo in France, 1889. And you see this and you just say, wow, my goodness gracious, and it's so huge. Central High School in Philadelphia in 1904. Again, if it's not the post office, it's a Central High School, or it's a church or a cathedral. It's just like one of those things, you know. There you go. And then next folder, number 6. And Central Train Station in Brest, Belarus, the only country left in Europe. I'm not sure to say if it's free or a dictatorship, depends how you see the things. And built in 1886 and heavily damaged in 1915 during World War I, and eventually demolished. So bye-bye. Chateau Frontenac, Quebec City, the French side of Canada. If this is a hotel, and who had, like, this is like the same as with Australia and New Zealand, right? How, with what resources and stuff? It's just incredible. Imagine if this was actually there, which I think it was, and then these guys just came in and they just put their butts inside. Chateau of Water, the Palace of Water and Electricity. Water, either, also water, ether, electricity. Paris World Expo in 1900. And this is Chicago, 1893. Massive. Whenever I see these expos, like the Chicago one, it's just speechless, mind-blowing. Chicago City Hall, 1885 to 1911. Check out the size of these stones and columns and pillars. Wireless trams and stuff. Energy. Chicago Federal Building, lost in 1965. So whoever came with the idea of demolishing this place must have been against history, definitely. And you get the point, right? How did they build this? And Chicago is only one city of the states. In any case, Chicago Welfare in 1893 again, and again Welfare 1893, different angle, so much perfection. Looks like the Roman Republic. We're in the States, and this is with light. This was 1893. Imagine the amount of power they had back then to actually make everything with so much light, and then they just tear it down, because, you know, that's what you do with an expo. You just destroy it afterwards. Chicago Welfare from above, 1893. And this is the Chilaga in Chicago in Illinois, the old water tower, second oldest water tower in the USA. Official date of completion, as they say per history, official history, 1869. And this is the Church of St. Nicholas in Amsterdam, Netherlands. Do you actually believe people will actually go there to say their prayers to God? Like, come on. 1887. And then let's go to the next one. Here we go. Church of the Archangel Michael, Warsaw, finished in 1894. They say as an Orthodox church for occupying Russian soldiers, and it was torn down following the Polish independence in 1923. There you go. Wonder if this was actually, and these are like antennas and not actual, crosses. This is the Church of the Disciples in New York City, 1875. They say it was built in 1873 and destroyed in 1899 to build a new clubhouse. Impressive. Church of the Transfiguration of Our Savior in Karelia in Russia, built in 1715. Now this one is made out of wood, you know, so It's a new picture like here, largest wooden structure of the world. So this is actually more possible because it's made out of wood. But again, you say the same principle here. I'm just wondering if this would also is like just a copy, or would it actually be able to extract energy. City of Petra, which is, by the way, it's melted. So this like it's because of some like wave of like heat or something which melted the whole place, and that's why you have the city of Petra in this way in Jordan. City of temples in Bagan in Myanmar, which is a country in Asia. They say the date is 1044 for these. It's just incredible, like once you know history and the true history, how you analyze these things and how you see the different meaning of all. City Public Bank, a bank. This is in Moldova, Republic of Moldova, which is a country between Romania and Ukraine. Yeah, it's like probably the saddest place to live in Europe. They're gonna probably be like attached to Romania at some point, according to the European Union treaties and all that stuff. So yeah, in Chisinau, in the capital, same principle with this triangle and the columns and the dome and everything. So interesting. And this is like a picture which is obviously art, but just like tells you, just as we see in the movies, how the world would have been and how the world was before everything got torn apart. Clark Mansion at 962 Fifth Avenue and East 77th, 1920 in New York City. Whoever lived in this place, and just imagine New York City is very cold in winter, so I'm just guessing how would you like be warm in such a big place with radiation, which is positive for the body. Cliff House in San Francisco, 1896-1907, destroyed in a fire. With those fires, Cliff House from a different angle. Just imagine, like probably this was here before the flooding, right? So probably this was just land, and then the water came and the level got to be too high, and that's it. And this is the Cologne Cathedral in Germany. Like whenever they call them cathedrals, I'm just like, what the heck is wrong with human brains? Power station, as you want to call it, not bombed, again avoided for the bombings, and just the way it was built. Let's pass on to next one, number 8. Cologne Cathedral from a different angle, Germany. Huge, different angle as well from the Cologne Cathedral. Again, Cologne Cathedral. And inside the Cologne Cathedral. Again, whoever believes that you go there to say your prayers, think twice. See the power stations for electricity. Columbian Exposition in the USA, 1893 in Chicago. And completion of the Michigan State Capitol, they say, in Lansing in 1870s. It's just, I don't even know how to describe this to people who are indoctrinated. Michigan State Capitol, 1870. And check this out, Corn Palace, Sioux City, Iowa, USA, 1850, demolished. Why? Because you would make uncomfortable questions, because many of the buildings in the USA are identical to the ones in the Arab countries, and you're not supposed to know that much, are you? Court of Palms, San Francisco, 1915. So good that these are like public pictures, and they don't belong to anyone. Craig Darouche Castle, Victoria, British Columbia in 1890. And then Cuba. Cuba is also so identical to the rest of the world. And that's Cologne. So let's go to the next, number 9. This is the Dakshineswar Kali Temple in West Bengal in India. More like a power station again. And this one is Detroit, Michigan Waterworks Park. Waterworks, and it looks the same as the one in the Arab and Turkish countries. 1876-1945. The picture is from 1881. Again, these like curious people with their suits in their hands. Detroit Waterworks, again Michigan, different angle. This is in China. Actually, did you know that Beijing and most major cities in China used to be surrounded by absolutely gigantic city walls? Sadly, most of them were torn down in the 50s in the name of development, more like in the name of hiding true history in China, because obviously China is a dictatorship in some ways, in some other ways not. Dilkusha Koti residence in Dilkushi, Lucknow. Lucknow in India, 1858, ruin, complete ruin. Who built this? Was it like the Indians, or was it the Brits, or was it the other empire, the other humans before? So this picture here, impressive style. A pagoda, again, did you build this, or was it built by a previous humanity? And this like the same that we have today in power stations for electricity. Duomo di Milano, the Dome in Milano in Italy, built, they say, in the 1300s, and this is from the 1870 picture. Again, if you built this in probably they did, but with technology, not like they say with primitive, like sculpting. Edinburgh's prison and castle in the 1840s, in Edinburgh, and with these like things, Edinburgh. It's just amazing. In the UK, education and teaching building, Paris and World Fair, 1900. And this one is the Église, the Church of Saint Jacques, in Abbeville, in France, demolished in 2013, of course, because you have to demolish things. Elphinstone College in Mumbai, India, impressive, and also with these colors and stuff, late 19th century. Of course, the road has to be out of mud. You built all this supreme thing, and then the road's out of mud, and then this impressive technology. It's just, I know, yeah. And that's how people think when they study history. No questions, just study like a parrot. Elsinore Gate in Cincinnati, Ohio, 1898, built in 1883, so they say. Entrance California Building, the Panama California Expo in San Diego, California, 1915. Check out the work here. And before and after, right? Before and after, the Essen Hauptbahnhof, the train station in Essen in Germany, before and after the Second World War. Obviously, I prefer this one, and you understand why. And the principle of destroying. Exchange Building in 1868 in Dunedin in New Zealand. Again, a massive work, and for New Zealand and for Australia, you get the point how history can be faked. Exterior view of the Ohio State Building being hauled by a barge to its new home in San Carlos in California, 1916. They were able to actually transport buildings like these across water, which is amazing. Federal Coffee Palace in Melbourne. Federal Coffee Palace. Somebody built this in Australia. There were barely any people in 1888, and it was demolished in 1973. Whenever you want to hide something, just demolish it, or just like put a fire. Festival Hall World Fair Building in St. Louis, Missouri, in 1904. It's huge. From what you would just see that you wish like you think you're like in Rome or something. And then this is the Festival Hall in San Francisco, World Fair, 1915. And the Flinders Street Railway Station in Melbourne in Australia, 1905. They said that it had like almost 3,000 electric trains at the beginning of the 20th century. Electric, free energy. Yeah, those of you who actually understand what I'm saying. Ukraine, 1895 and 2020. So what do you prefer? I prefer this one from the 19th century, and this one is disgusting. And this is Fort Jefferson, Florida, 16 million bricks, and in the middle of the water, like impressive. Fortified towers in Kaiping in China, kind of very interesting. Let's go to half of the list right now. 11. Forum Theatre, Melbourne, Australia. Fountain of Energy, San Francisco. Fountain of Energy, 1915. This one here, free real estate. Why? Because you just you don't build this. You just come as a new humanity and you take over. Pretoria in South Africa, Algiers, Dakar in Senegal, Chicago, Osaka in Japan, Seoul, South Korea, Saigon, Vietnam, Winnipeg, Calcutta, India, Delhi, Karachi, Pakistan, Tehran, Iran, Santiago de Chile, Rio in Brazil, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Melbourne, Australia, Managua, San Jose, Costa Rica, Havana, Cuba, Belgrade. It's just, it's free real estate. Same principle, same everything. You just come in and put your little tiny, and you take over. Fresno County Courthouse, then versus now. We have the year here. Again, disgustingly ugly. And then Garden Palace, Sydney, Australia, 1879 to 1882, they say it was built. Gendarmenmarkt in Berlin, 1857. One of the oldest photographs of Berlin. And when you watch this, you feel like being in the movies like Rome, and stuff. This was Berlin in the 19th century. Do you understand the empire? Who built these things? Was it the people with these primitive technologies? Impressive. San Francisco earthquake and fire. So you say in 1906, 90% of the total destruction was a result of the fires. One of the largest of these fires was accidentally started by a woman making breakfast. Official history, my friends. And this came to be known as the ham and eggs fire. Yeah, with ham and eggs fire, you get this destroyed city. When you see it, it looks pretty much like a bombing, and with lasers, a welcome reset. And Gillender building in the financial district in New York City, demolished, of course, as well. After 13 years, you build this, you live it 13 years, 1 3, and then you demolish it. Supreme Gold Gumbaz in India. They say it was built in 1656. With what purpose? And who built this? And what technology? Was it the Indians? Was it someone else? A golden statue of trumpeting angel, Red Gate, and Church of the Three Holy Hierarchs in Moscow. Moscow. Very religious, these people, right? Once you understand religion is not how you learn. Government house in Myanmar, demolished again in 1985 because, of course, you're not allowed to ask questions. And the Grand Arch of the Peristyle in the World Columbian Exposition in Chicago in 1893. I guess when you see it, you can understand. I hope you understand all this, all I'm saying. The grand entrance in the Paris, France Expo, 1900. Grand Organ in Melbourne, Australia, now gone. So it's not there anymore because uncomfortable questions are not welcomed. Again, Grand Organ in Melbourne, Australia, different picture. And this one is the Grand Palace in Hanoi in Vietnam, 1902, identical to Australia, but we're in Vietnam. And we're like in America and stuff. Grand Theater in Poland, 1890. And the Great Choral Synagogue. If it's not a church or a cathedral, it's a synagogue in Poland, destroyed in 1943. Gwalior Fort in Madhya Pradesh, India. They say it was built in the 8th century. More like very recent. Built, but by a different humanity, perhaps. Hagia Sophia in Istanbul in Turkey, 1900. More like power station. And then Harbin, China. If I didn't say China, it wasn't written in Chinese, you would have said like America, Europe. It's China. Hava Mahal, Jaipur, India. They say it was built in 1799. And this is the High Court of Calcutta in India, 1850s to 1870s. Again, was it the Brits in there? Did they built all this, or was it there beforehand? Because it was the same empire. Holkar College, Karachi, Pakistan. Again, and this principle, 1890s. Grand entrance, the expo. Oh yeah, we saw this. So let's move on to folder 13. Horticultural Hall, the Centennial Exposition, Philadelphia, 1876. Humayun's Tomb, that's the name of this one. And full ruins, yeah, like a tomb. You make it like a tomb, more like a power station. Again, Hungarian Parliament Building, Budapest. They say it was constructed in 1896. We saw this so many times with the electric energy. Hurlbut Memorial Arch in Detroit, Michigan, built, they say, in 1894. Imambara in Lucknow, built, they say, in 1784, India. And this one is in Mexico City. So curious why Mexico and India look so alike. And everything else. Church of the Assumption of the Holy Virgin in Moscow. In Soviet Russia, it was demolished in 1935 to expand the sidewalk. You get the point, right? India, lots of ruins in India. And this is in India as well, this technology. Nobody knows, and nobody knows why these guys are bare feet and stuff, and ruins here. More like they came out of nowhere, and they're like, civilization has started in a different way. India, mud flood, or underneath, several layers, meters, feet underground. India as well. Pretty much, if I didn't say India, you would have said something else as well, because it's the same everywhere. And let's move on to number 14. India again. India, India is just, and then people say, oh, Tartaria, but yeah, I understand the maps, but not all of the maps. So like the more ancient maps, you see lots of, I mean, you kind of understand like what was before Tartaria, how they call it. And India as well here, lots of pictures from India, never gets too tiring. India, and India as well. And this is India as well. Ruins of a former empire, same as everywhere else. Ruins India again, and India 1857, whatever remains of the remnants of something. And this one is the Industrial Hall in Glasgow in Scotland, UK, 1901. Check this impressive piece of technology. Next, 15, Institute of Delhi in India, 1850s, 1870s. Welcome columns, just like everywhere else. Tombs, no way. They were, by the way, the pyramids were built between 1700 and 1800. Post office, no way. And my brain has short circuits. Industrial building, yeah, whatever. Corn Palace, whatever. And then you go, man, the history, once you understand it. This is in the States. It was Iranistan in the States, in Connecticut. Imagine Iran, the States. Now they're like enemies, right? Well, before it was the same principle everywhere. And this is 1848, 19th century Iranistan. This building existed. Unfortunately, we only have these drawings and paintings, but this was in the USA. This is Istanbul in the 1800s, and Istanbul, of course, in 1890. Something is wrong. And this is Jaipur, Rajasthan, India. This is the Geronimo's Monastery in Lisbon, Portugal. They say it was built in 1502. And this is the Jewish Synagogue, Nashville, Tennessee, 1879 and 1954. And the Jubilee Institute in Karnataka in India, 1890s. And yeah, the International Hotel in Barcelona, when you go and studying those things. And then the Justice of Palace in Tokyo, 1887, Tokyo, Japan. And let's move on, close to the finish line, almost. Kaiser Pasand Palace in Lucknow, India, impressive, 1870. The Kazan Cathedral in St. Petersburg in Russia. The Klamath County Courthouse, 1913. Kowloon Station, shortly after the completion, Hong Kong in China. It was demolished in 1977, even though the public protested, demolished. La Madeleine Church in Paris, France, was built, they say, in 1828. If you believe that, then that's, of course, you're welcome to believe. La Martiniere College in Lucknow, India, built in 1845, they say. Different angle in the same place. This is the Las Lajas Sanctuary in Nariño in Colombia. Again, Colombia. It's the same principle all over again. Lakshmi Vilas Palace in India, 1890, they say the date is. And this is the Leeds Town Hall in England, in the UK, 1858. I guess you know the message by now. This is the Leipzig Reichsgericht in Leipzig in Germany. They say it's like the late 19th century, 1890, 1900s. Liberal Arts of Palace, San Francisco, 1915, before and after. I prefer before, and this before was made by Different Humanity. And let's move on to number 17. Lichfield Cathedral, again, Lichfield, England. They say the year is 1195. Lichfield from a different angle. Again, this one we saw before. Lost Melbourne, the Queen's Coffee Palace. Demolished in 1970, and now we have the headquarters of the Cancer Council, which was built in 1984. This is the Louisville, Kentucky Water Tower. They say it was built in 1819. You see like a Roman temple complex in the United States. Lucknow, India, 1860. This is the machine, we saw this before. Main Fair House during the All-Russian exhibition. This is in Nizhny Novgorod in Russia in 1896. And this is the main square of the Paris World Expo, 1867. And this is the main waiting room in Penn Station, New York City, 1910. Malta's Royal Opera House destroyed by the Luftwaffe in the Germans in that's how they say it, in April 1942 in Malta, the island. Manila in the Philippines, they say was built in 1571 by the Spanish, I'm assuming, or was it there beforehand? 18. This is the Manjarabat Star Fortress in Karnataka in India. And Mannheim, Germany. Checks out Fortress, India, Germany. Just impressive. A marble stairway in a palace in Paris in France, 1878. Marlborough Blenheim Hotel, again 1908 in the USA. Mary Queen of the World Cathedral in Montreal, Quebec, the French side of Canada, 1925. Mehrangarh Fort in India. Impressive stuff. Melbourne, again the train station, the busiest in the world at that point. 3,000 electric trains. What I say here, like check this out, this is amazing. Australian Scenic Series, this is like from the cigarettes package. Flinders St. Railway Station in Melbourne in Victoria, Australia. This station is the busiest passenger, this was written back then in that year, in the early 1900s. The busiest passenger station in the world, 318,000 passengers passing through the barriers daily, 16 passenger platforms, constant use, 2,566 electric and 168 steam trains being dealt with at the station each day. More than 2,500 trains, electric trains, in the early 1900s. Do you understand my point here? So yeah, just, once you understand all that, once you understand that the pyramids in Egypt are like modern buildings from the 18th century, makes a lot of sense as well. The Metropolitan Cathedral of the Ascension of Mary in Mexico City. This is the Midland Grand Hotel, completed in 1875, they say. And the Milwaukee, Wisconsin Courthouse, constructed in 1872. That's what they said. And then it was demolished in 1939. But again, this with the construction years, you get the point, right? What I'm saying. 19. This is a building in Yangon in Myanmar, formerly Burma was Myanmar, 1900. The Ministry of Agriculture in Tatarstan in Russia. The Mole Antonelliana Tower in Turin, Italy, 1889. And this is the Monroe Palace, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the most dubious of dubious origins, with this obelisk as well. And the monument of Vittorio Emanuele II in Italy. This is the monument of the fallen Russian soldiers in the Republic of Tatarstan in Russia. As you know, Russia is a federal state. I guess you didn't know. Bigger than the States. Moorish style Aransas County Courthouse in Rockport, Texas. What the heck is a Moorish style building doing in Texas, USA in 1956? Of course, built before that. Moyamensing Singh Prison, Philadelphia, 1835, demolished in 1968. Check out this Egyptian looking type thing in the USA. And this is in Myanmar. Who the heck built this? What technology? What machinery? And look how primitive the people are, and they're like very ancient. So yeah, you get the point, right? You need technology, you need companies, you need power. Comparison: firebombing, atomic bombing. We're not going to go into atomic stuff right now, but just to understand. And then fires and earthquake. So same principle. When you want to reset something, you just blast it with something artificial, and that's it. End of the story. And then you bring on a new humanity. Very recent. This is a Napa State Hospital. Unknown date of construction. Demolished in 1949. Who the heck builds a hospital like this? More like a palace and with energy. And National Cathedral, Washington D.C., USA. And the Neue Elbbrücke, the Elbe Bridge in Hamburg, Germany, 1887, and destroyed in 1957. Because that's what we do. Well, that's what humans do. Neuschwanstein Castle in Munich, in Bavaria, in Germany, in the mountains. New post office, Hong Kong, 1910. And the New York Buffalo, circa 1908, Erie County Savings Building. This technology, the incoming humanity, once everything was in place. Old Chicago, which looks like Gotham City in the Batman series or movies or comics. Batman would be proud. And then Old City Hall, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, 1912. And the old Cotton Exchange building in Liverpool, UK, demolished in 1967-69. Why the heck would you demolish this? Well, yeah, there's no point in like say, oh, this is because it was built by a different humanity, right? And this is the old Hôtel de Ville, the old house in Paris, in France, in 1532. And let's go to before the last one, number 20, the old Kansas City Board of Trade building, demolished in 1968. Old Ministry of Foreign Affairs building in Bucharest, in Romania. This was the former palace of a guy called Sturza. Again, very, very interesting architecture. Old Parliament Hill in Ottawa, in Canada, 1900, and it was always there before. So again, probably built by a different humanity. Old Penn Station, we saw this before, but Penn Station is something unique, or it was, because it's not there anymore. The old post office, again, post office in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, demolished in 1966 because you have to demolish again. Old Santa Fe Station Tower in San Diego, 1915, destroying history. Old State Capitol, Baton Rouge in Louisiana, end of the 19th century. Omaha Post Office, never get tired of these post offices, right? Of course, you know, they were not post offices. Demolished in 1966 because, you know, Ontario Government Building in Toronto, Ontario in Canada, 1926. And again, Melbourne Station. Original design of the Reichstag building in Berlin, Germany. And the original Tsutenkaku Tower in Osaka in Japan, 1912, demolished because of a fire. And then the Ortaköy Mosque in Istanbul, Turkey, they say it was opened in 1856. And the Otago Boys High School in Dunedin, New Zealand. And the Pabst Building, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, early 1900s. Pagoda of Sisho or Chisho Temple, they say it's a 16th century stone and brick Chinese pagoda, more like energy device for the electric atmospheric energy from the sky. Palace of the Emperor of Japan, Tokyo, Japan. The Emperor, just like the other emperors in Europe and America. Palace of Diverse Industries, International Universal Exposition in 1900. And the Palace of Electricity and Water Castle at the 1900 Expo in Paris, in France as well. Different angles, different colors. And that's it. That's everything. So hopefully you enjoyed this long video. Let me know your thoughts. And of course, don't get too lost in all this thing about Tartaria. The knowledge is there. Everything is public. You just have to make an effort to understand. And I'll see you guys in the next video.